You're watching the PlantX Vodcast. Join us as we explore the inner workings of all things plant-based and all things PlantX, from the products and lifestyles to the people behind them. Now welcome our host, the man who combined his love of e-commerce and the plant-based lifestyle to create PlantX, Sean Dollinger.
Hey everyone, welcome to the PlantX Vodcast. Thank you for taking time out of your day to come join us and learn a little bit more about what PlantX is all about. So we're basically your one-stop shop for anything plant-based. So if you're looking for groceries, meal delivery, plant-based products for your pets, or just to learn a little bit more about what plant-based living is all about, that's what PlantX is for. We essentially welcome everybody into our community, whether you want to just try to replace a couple meals or just give it a try and see what makes plant-based eating or the whole space so amazing. And we're really, really excited to have Margaret on the show today. And her products are amazing. We carry them in our store in Squamish. I've had a chance to have them multiple times. So really excited to have Margaret on. And Margaret, welcome to the show.
Awesome. Thanks so much for having me. I'm so excited to be here.
Yeah, no, thanks for joining. And before we jump into some questions, we always start with, how do you take your coffee?
That's a good question. I'm a oat milk latte kind of person. And sometimes if I'm feeling fancy, I put some MCT oil in my coffee as well.
Awesome. Cool. And I know that you'll be coming to Vancouver this week. And if we get the opportunity, love to take you out to Squamish so that you can try our oat milk latte, which I think they do an incredible job.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's do that for sure.
Great. So maybe you could tell us about how everything began. Rumor has it you were a chef and doing this kind of in your spare time, and yeah, love to know more.
Absolutely. So yeah, we just celebrated our 7-year anniversary last Friday, actually. So 7 years ago, I took my products to our first ever farmers market here in London, Ontario, where we're based. So I was working as a chef at a vegan restaurant here in town and started working there during my undergrad. I was a big plant-based enthusiast consumer, loved cooking as a teenager, had been plant-based from a young age. And so I started experimenting with different recipes to make, creams and sauces and cheeses from nuts and seeds, and ended up putting a vegan cheese board on the menu at the restaurant where I was working. And it became quite a popular menu item. And I had the opportunity to experiment with different flavors every week and get some sort of real-time feedback from the restaurant customers. And my original dream was to own a vegan restaurant of my own. And I thought, I was 24 before I jumped into the world of restaurant ownership. I'd try a farmer's market for the summer with these cheeses that I was making. And it just took off from there. So had our first farmers market and pretty much immediately started getting some requests from local restaurants and retailers and health food stores just outside of London as far as Toronto, and figured out how to print out packaging on my printer at home. And I was renting the restaurant kitchen in the middle of the night to make these products, and then driving them myself to stores to drop them off and make sales connections. So that's really how we got started, was farmers market roots and renting commercial kitchen space.
Awesome. And I always find the most powerful thing when you're starting a business, obviously, is word of mouth, recommendations. And when a product like yours speaks for itself, makes it that much easier to at least get things going. But obviously getting it carried mainstream is always a challenge, right? Like we have a juice company called Little West, and Cassandra and Andrew, who started the company, are amazing. They work so hard, in developing it, but to be able to get Whole Foods, these mainstream grocers to actually carry the products when everybody's competing for shelf space is challenging, as you know, right? So how did you manage to get that going?
I think, I hit the market at kind of a unique time where there wasn't a ton of high quality premium organic vegan cheese alternatives available commercially. We were one of the first ones on the market selling a product made from nuts. And so we really started getting a foothold with those independent retailers that, I'd been a customer at a lot of these health food stores for years and would call on different stores in different towns and just say, hey, would you, consider meeting with us and trying out some of our products? And I think as soon as we started to get that customer base established, and some of the larger retailers started to take note, and they're always trying to keep an eye on what's trending and how to be competitive with the smaller stores and ensure that their product offerings are unique as well. So I think that's how we started to get the attention of some of the bigger retailers, and we were fortunate that in the early days, a lot of those retailers actually came and called us and asked, if we were going to be able to supply. Like Farm Boy, for example, was one of our first large customers that called us and ordered a full pallet of product, and that was the largest order I'd ever sent out to date. And so that was really, those kinds of things started to get the ball rolling. And then once you've got a really innovative retailer like Farm Boy on board, then some of the other larger retailers started to take notice as well and started to reach out.
Yeah, no, and obviously, like you said, to start with, like how far vegan cheese has come from day one. I remember 15 years ago, so I've been living a plant-based journey for 10 plus years, but like everyone kind of gave it a try 15 years ago. And I remember trying some of the cheeses out there, and it was challenging, and having a product like yours, you sometimes can't even tell the difference, right, between vegan cheeses and dairy cheeses these days.
Yeah. I mean, that's definitely the idea, to make it so that consumers don't feel like they're missing out when they're choosing a plant-based alternative, that they can still have a really high quality, delicious product.
Yeah, I always have this discussion with people trying to live a plant-based lifestyle or exploring it and saying, why does something need to replicate a product that already exists? And I think that we've, for the masses, have been trained on the way certain products and the way your body adapts to them. So to be able to ease people into this whole lifestyle change, because it's obviously not easy, even though it is getting easier with products like yourself, we need them to be able to taste products that have similarities.
Yeah, I think it's that for sure, that it's kind of bridges the gap for people when they're first exploring eating plant-based foods. But I think it's also that, consumers aren't choosing to eat vegan because, conventional products don't taste good. They still want to have something that tastes awesome and can replicate the, comforting experiences that they may have had as a child or whatever it is.
And as you know, this is live, obviously, so we have a lot of questions coming in, and typically we wait until the end of the show to open up the floor. But one thing that I've been thinking about, and it just popped across the screen, and I think it is quite interesting. Obviously, nuts, a lot of allergies around that, and now I'm noticing, and it doesn't really even taste like it, but like coconut's a massive player out there in the cheese space. And when I started really reading ingredients, because I just assumed, at least, and you would know better than I, 5+ years ago, whenever these alternative dairies were coming out, dairy alternatives, it was mostly nut based. Do you have any?
Yeah, I think we use nuts primarily right now. I mean, we're Nuts for Cheese is the brand name. It doesn't mean that we wouldn't develop products without nuts in the future. But I think in terms of the reasoning behind why we chose to use cashews is that they are a really high quality ingredient that can come from organic sourcing with a lower environmental impact than, say, almonds, for example. It requires less water. Of course, they're more environmentally friendly than a dairy-based product. But they also are really creamy and rich, and they provide, a very convincing texture and pleasing flavor experience. We also ferment all of our products. So cashews ferment well using the cultures that we actually make in-house. And one thing that's interesting with the allergen comment that you made is, part of our motivation for fermenting the products is that it is a type of product that will promote gut health, and it's something that you can eat the entire wedge and not feel ill after you consume a lot of it the way that you would with a dairy cheese. But we actually did a study a couple years ago on the allergen content of cashews pre and post fermentation, and similar to how it emphasizes the digestive benefits and the experience of eating the product, the allergen content is reduced about 9 times when you ferment
No
cashew.
way.
Yeah, which is neat. So I will never say it's nut-free or safe for someone who has a cashew allergy, but it does show that the allergen content is decreased significantly with fermentation.
Yeah, no, a lot. And how about the butters, by the way, before I jump into the next question? Butter, same thing, driven by cashews?
Yeah, so the butters they still have the same fermented organic cashew milk base. And then we have emulsified coconut oil and sunflower oil in that product as well. And they're, I think the one thing that is my biggest takeaway from producing this product is that I was never a huge butter consumer before, because I'd eaten so many, really heavily processed oil-based kind of margarine-style products. But this truly is like a one-to-one replacement for dairy butter. It comes in 2 half-cup sticks, so you can use it just like you would a dairy butter in cooking and baking. And I really have put it to the test. As a chef, I've made all of the mother sauces. I've made pastries. I've made croissants, and really made sure that the product holds up, and it's delicious.
Yeah, the croissants out there, the vegan croissants, you wouldn't even know the difference these days. So awesome. And I'm sure a lot of them use your product to make them taste amazing. We know that there's competition coming into the space. Marketing is so important. Your branding is fantastic. Do you have an internal marketing team? And if so, what do they do day to day?
Yeah, we do. I think, a lot of our marketing is really just focused on being authentic and, promoting the integrity of the product and making sure that we're showcasing the qualities of the premium nature of the product that we're making. But a lot of the marketing until recently was me. I still do our social media to this day. And we do have head of marketing who's based in California now. We have some internal folks as well who do a lot on the consumer and B2B marketing end. And so there's a lot of efforts that we work closely with our retailers to ensure that we're promoting effectively on shelf. We take advantage of different print opportunities and relationships with different magazines or news outlets, things like that. And then we do a lot of work with social media to promote our products to our customers and consumers as well.
And even though this industry is quite new, right? Even though you've been around for, I believe you said 10 years that you've been in the space, it always blows me away the packaging that everybody's come up with. Like when we walk in our Venice store, which is 100% vegan, the colorful, exposure when you're walking through it, like gets you excited even when you're walking through the store. Or when you go to Erewhon and everything's jumping out at you. What suggestions do you have? Because your packaging is fantastic and really stands out for people who are entering into the space.
Yeah, that's a good question. I think, our packaging is one thing that we do get compliments on all the time. So thank you. I do love the format of it. I think it's unique in terms of being able to merchandise, like standing up in a triangle format, or you can present it in a wheel by, just putting all of the wedges into a circle. And we see that a lot in stores that were located in the deli. So a lot of our retailers are actually merchandising us in the deli with the artisan dairy cheeses because it is a specialty product. And that's been an interesting shift to see as, grocery trends change and people aren't just looking for vegan products in the vegan set any longer. It's become more mainstream. But I think the biggest thing to I would suggest to people that are developing packaging is to try to just be true to representing what the product is. So for us, we really want to represent that it's a premium, high quality, and of course, dairy-free vegan product. I think chasing trends is something that is really attractive, and it's easy to kind of have like the shiny object syndrome of wanting your packaging to really stand out. But I think that causes you to be more likely to have to update packaging more frequently than is necessarily good for the brand narrative and brand recognition. So something that is representative of the product and feels authentic and true to you is probably the best way to go.
Yeah, I never thought about that before. It's quite interesting to try to think about where your product might be sitting in the store and adapt it towards that location. Like you said in the display, where your product, it's like a perfect size to be able to display all of your brands and SKUs right in front of the shoppers.
Yeah, I think that that's something for sure to think about is how it looks on shelf. And there's going to be all kinds of different representations of the product depending on the retailer that's carrying it. So think however you can maximize your display depending on whether it's going to be in a bunker, on a shelf, on its side, to try to make it be appealing from all angles.
Cool. No, that's great. And I know you've brought up social media a couple times, and it's a big debate in-house at Plantex. There's so many different social media channels that we need to manage, or the team, from Portfolio Coffee to Little West to our stores. And over the 2 years, we decided how we should break them all out. And then there's the big discussion. Does it drive revenue? Are you doing it just to bring brand awareness at the end of the day? What is the real objective to the social media strategy that you're going with? What's your take on it?
Well, I think it depends on the channels that you're selling through. For us, we don't do any D2C right now, really. We have a refrigerated product, and it's challenging to ship cheese across North America. But I think for us, it's really about brand awareness and building a strong and engaged community. It's an opportunity for us to, celebrate wins, to shout out our retailers, to reshare things that people have posted using our products. So for me, that's always been the approach. We have done some work with digital advertising, and it's all, again, about brand awareness because we're not through our website. So often we're driving people to our recipe page, where it's a page on our website where we've got lots of different recipes of unique ways to use the product. If you're not just interested in putting it on a cheese board and you're looking for something creative to do with our cheeses, there's a handful of recipes of really delicious, inspirational ideas. And then the other thing that we drive people to is our where to buy page. So that's one of our key channels for supporting our retailers and making sure that folks know where they can actually purchase the product in real life.
I think recipes such a big thing in this space, right? Because when somebody's trying to enter into the plant-based lifestyle, to understand how you put together a recipe, even though yours would be perhaps a core ingredient in whatever they're putting together, I think it's very, very helpful and a great resource.
Yeah, absolutely. I think people often say like, oh, I'd totally be vegan, but I don't know how to cook vegan food. And it's, I think having those resources available and making it exciting for people is hugely helpful.
And on the social media front, I totally agree. When you're a brand, we're a platform on the Plantex side. And it's one thing on our X markets. I think it's exciting. People are coming in. You could share the events that are taking place. But as far as the platform, as plantex.com goes, it's hard to utilize and build up a brand around your platform, while a company like Little West or Nuts for Cheese, where you're going ahead and getting people excited about this product. And then when they're going into the different touch points that they could go shop, and then they're like, oh yeah, I remember seeing that product, and then they reach for your product. That's where I think that the strategy could be really powerful on the sales side. So instead of selling through there, give the knowledge to the consumer.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, I think it is an opportunity to demonstrate like a lifestyle piece as well, and show people, for us, a lot of our marketing strategy is about encouraging people to enjoy sharing food and really get into, finding their inner chef, as we, titled this segment today. And so I think, for us to be able to showcase those ways that people can elevate their culinary experience and use something like a Nuts for Cheese product to make that easy for them, that's always been a priority for us.
Awesome. And Margaret, people, as we spoke about, join us live. They're taking time out of their day, and we want to make sure, especially we don't have you on the show each time, that they get what they'd like out of their time here, right? And so we encourage the questions to be asked. And this week we'll put together an assortment of your products and ship them out to someone in the US or Canada. Because we carry your products on both sides of the border. So please feel free to share, ask away, let us know what we could do better here at Plantex or what we're doing great. We love hearing positive and anything that could help us get to the next level. I know that you spoke, I believe it was last month at the Vegan Women's Summit in Los Angeles. And I heard that it was a great success. Any aha moments while you were at the event?
Well, I think that was just such a cool event. I didn't really know what to expect because it was my first time attending it. And I was so delighted to have been included as a speaker. I think one of the biggest, oh my God, takeaway moments was that it was an event that was like almost 1,000 people in person that was sold out with hundreds of people, on the waiting list for tickets. And it really did demonstrate that, the vegan movement and also like women in business movements are strong, and it's a totally mainstream thing for people now, where 7 years ago when I was doing my first farmers market, I would get a lot of people saying, oh, you make vegan cheese, I don't know what that is, or I don't need to have that, I'm not vegan, kind of thing. And to see this event with hundreds and hundreds of people in a room together, all celebrating women in food and women in veganism, it was very inspiring. And I think at the beginning of the event, the question was asked, how many people in this room are founders of vegan companies? And it was like 70% of the room put up their hand. And then the next question was, how many people are invested in vegan companies? And again, it was like a huge portion of the room that's, invested in the industry. They're making products in the industry or offering services. And it was a hugely inspiring experience. And I got to meet Alicia Silverstone, so that was very cool.
Amazing. And thanks for sharing that experience with us. And we had Alicia Silverstone on one of our annual general meetings, and she was great. She was awesome. And what does the future look like for your company?
Well, we just launched in the States about 1.5 years ago. So we've had a lot of really exciting growth in the US that's, mirrored our path in Canada. So really, our growth plans in Canada, we want to continue to build our distribution with our key retailers, keep building those great relationships, offer more products and more stores, and enter some new channels in Canada. And then in the States, we want to continue to build our distribution as well. So I believe as of today, we're available in all 50 states across the US. So we've got a few exciting new retail launches that I can't announce just yet, but about next week, I'll be announcing on our social media and our LinkedIn some new big partnerships across the states. So I'm going to continue to launch innovation and grow our distribution network. And those are kind of our two big priorities for right now.
Love it. Congrats on all of the success. And if you have a few extra minutes, would you be all right if we ask you some questions?
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, great. Thanks. So we've got Jake Graham. What's the main difference between mass-produced plant-based cheeses like Daya, and the smaller plant-based cheese producers? Or are there any differences?
Yeah, I think that they're kind of like two different segments to the category, and I think they both really have their place. I think that Daya offers, or the shred and slice category, as I'll call it, kind of offers consumers an opportunity to have a mainstream, easy to use alternative, whether you want like a pizza cheese that you can sprinkle on something and melt it in the oven, or a slice that you can put on a sandwich. I really do think there's a place for both. The way that we would differentiate our products is that we really do try to emulate like the premium artisan portion of the category. So all of our products, we don't use any artificial anything. There's no additives, there's no gums, there's no starches. We ferment all of our products with cultures that we actually make in-house, and we're very strictly clean label products. So, none of the different food additives that you might see in a more conventionally available product. And again, like I said, I think that there's a lot of space for both products to coexist, but that's how I kind of differentiate it, is there's a more sort of mainstream category, and then there's the artisan premium category, just like you would see with dairy cheese.
Makes sense. And then Utherx asks, how do you see competition develop in this space in the plant-based cheese lately? Any impact?
Yeah, I think, kind of similar answer to the last question. I do believe that we're building a new category. And so, 7 years ago, there wasn't really a category. There was a few players in Canada and the States and smaller companies. And I think some of those companies, including mine, have been very fortunate to experience a lot of growth. I think that there do seem to be, more regional players coming into the category. But at this point, because there's still, a path to gaining mainstream consumer awareness, I think that all new people that are celebrating, making, enjoying vegan cheese are helping the cause. So for sure, there's more competitors coming all the time. There's some that are falling away over time, but I think we're all working towards the same mission of building out the plant-based set. And I had someone compare it to when almond milk first came on the scene 15 years ago, and it had one SKU on a shelf that was full of dairy-based milk products. And now if you go and look at the almond or alternative milk section in a grocery store, it's massive. So I think it's about increasing footprint in grocery stores. And, it takes more than one brand to do that. And I also think that having more than one brand that is successful in a grocery store demonstrates consumer demand. So that's how I like to look at it. Co-opetition.
Yeah, definitely. And the audience is obviously growing. So, more eyes on the products out there, and consumers obviously love choice, like you're saying. So that's great. And then any plans to break into the Uruguay market?
Not just yet, but I always kind of joke that my ultimate goal is world domination through vegan cheese. So stay tuned. I think working on Canada and the US for now, but certainly we'd look at international opportunities as timing and opportunity allows.
And we've got two more great questions, and then one more question directed towards me, but I know your time is valuable, so we'll ask you these two and let you go. How does plant-based cheese compare to its non-plant based cheeses as far as price goes?
I think it depends on which segment of the category you're looking at. Again, like it's the same as, some of those shreds and slices that are in the vegan category versus a premium organic cashew-based product. For sure, we're going to be priced at a premium level, but I think it's pretty comparable to what you would see in like a, fine French brie, for example. We do see ourselves pretty line priced with the premium end of the dairy-based category as well.
And love this one, shelf life. So speak about shelf life within our category, and then to your mainstream dairy products.
For sure. I think a lot of mainstream dairy products do have a huge range in shelf life. So what you might see in like a fresh goat cheese having like 24 to 28 days, for example, to an aged cheddar that could last for years. You see some of the similar trends in plant-based cheeses, and it really depends on the processing and the production of the product. So for us, because we ferment our products, that allows us to have a pretty substantial shelf life. We have about 6 months shelf life, but we don't use any preservatives or, additives to make that happen. It's really through the fermentation that creates good bacteria in the product that helps preserve it and has staying power.
Yeah, 6 months, definitely great shelf life. So Margaret, thank you so much. Well, thank you so much for joining us today and sharing, and love your products, and hopefully our viewers today give them a try if they haven't already, and look forward to perhaps meeting you next week.
Yes, definitely. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you. So we had one other question directed towards me today. Please discuss growth plan going forward, and if there is a path to profitability in sight, and how far would that be? And as we see, obviously, shipping costs continue to rise with the fuel added charges on, whether we use FedEx or any of the couriers we use. Obviously, e-commerce becomes harder and harder. But the way Plantex has designed itself with strategic distribution points throughout North America, as well as some of the countries we've expanded into, even the UK, where it's quite compact, and companies like DPD could offer same day and next day delivery. And with the technology we've developed, it allows us to grow extremely quickly in these territories and be able to strategically deliver products at a very reasonable cost. And to consolidate our stores like X Market Squamish, which is built into this unbelievable experience that people could come and enjoy a coffee, for example, and then while they're sipping on their drink to come and explore plant-based products, to then integrating with companies like Instacart. I'm not sure people understand how powerful and how important and strategic that announcement was just the other day. It really allows us to use our stores as e-commerce distribution centers, which our team is phenomenal at, and deliver the products within just a few hours. And as we get integrated with each delivery app, which a lot of companies don't have access to, if you just have a warehouse, if you are behind the scenes or connecting with a distributor, for example, you don't get those opportunities because companies like Instacart need that space for somebody to walk into and do the shopping for the consumer. Same thing goes for Uber. And we're seeing a snowball effect where somebody comes and enjoys our products one day, and then we become part of their routine moving forward. So keep your eyes and ears open for some more announcements coming out with different apps and different integrations that are going to be taking place. And to answer your question, that's what I believe will lead to profitability here, hopefully in the next few months. And I would say for sure within the next year. So thanks again for joining us. We really appreciate you taking the time out of your day, and Plantex would not be where we're at today if it wasn't for all of your support. Until next time, stay curious, stay planted, stay healthy.
X believes in a plant-based future for our health and the health of our planet. We've created a unique online shop for everything plant-based. Our intent on positioning globally is the core of our vision for investor accessibility and corporate growth. Learn more